Well, hello everyone, Mike with Spray Jones, showcasing you a project that we did here where external spray foam was added to the house. Now they wanted to retrofit this house that was built in the 1950s. It just had paper back, wax back, paper bats inside. They opened it up, took the sheathing off. They used the sheathing to make hoarding for us because I told the general contractor you're going to need to have wind protection on all four sides, so they built these little legs, these little stilts off the overhangs of the eaves. They're adding new windows, they're adding new siding, so now they're going to add 2 inches of spray foam insulation to it. And you can see that the hoarding works really well so that we don't have to worry about wind. We can shed any water if it rains a little bit the day before, and we've got a nice clean ready to go substrate. The minor amount of dirt and grime that we see in here is going to be blown out by the air purge gun, and then he cut back all of the protrusions of the old wood flooring, and that's all going to be caulked and sealed with can foam and high grade polyurethane sealant on the outside once the spray foam is done. So the first thing is to get in, have enough space to work like you see here, and then start detailing out your stud base. Now it's not super easy at the top. The top is a little bit tighter, more cramped. He's got less room to move and work, as you can see here, but it's not a huge problem. It just means that the foam might be just a tiny bit thicker up at the top where he doesn't have as much mobility and ease to move. You don't want to do this on a super hot day because in behind the hoarding, it's going to be a greenhouse, it's going to trap air, and it's just going to get stiflingly hot inside there, especially with the spray foam being added and throwing off a lot of exothermic heat. The product that you're looking at here is Demilec Heat Lock Soya. You can get it in the US and in Canada. It's a really good closed cell foam. And the spec that we're going is like a heavy 2 inches. We want to go at least 2 everywhere, if not 2.5. I don't even mind if on a second pass or something it gets upwards of 3, just provided that we don't have to shave. And the reason being is that you got one chance at getting this right with the exterior. As we've all noted, the spray foam sprayed into the stud cavity is going to be completely bonded to the back of the drywall, so there's no getting the drywall off easily from the inside, and you're not going to rip off new siding and new sheathing and new wrap. So you've got one chance to get everything right from the outside. So I don't want any super thin spots. I don't want a 1/4 inch of foam somewhere, a 1/2 inch of foam. So I told them, go in, detail it out. We don't want to be shaving a whole pile, so don't put it on too thick, but make sure that you touch up and go around and get foam into all of your corners and all of your areas. Make sure that we're at the 2 inch mark or better. This is where you've got to charge enough, folks. Like, you can't really scrimp. You can't just phone around and find the cheapest spray foam guy, because a certain amount of dollars and cents in material and time and setup needs to be done. I mean, we had to mask off around the outside of the structure, as you can see, taking care for items that were going to be replaced, like eaves troughs and what have you. Brand new windows have been installed. They upgraded the windows, changed their locations a little bit. They all had to be polyed off. Air conditioner had to be polyed off. Remaining fence posts, tile that they're walking on, like landscape tile. And there's just his depth check. He's got a screwdriver that he's got some tape set up, and they're checking the 2 inches right out towards the edges to make sure everything's good. So these jobs, I say, they need to be done with fair weather. You can't be in ultra high wind, can't be in ultra high humidity days. High humidity gives you a lot of pattern problems with the spray gun, sometimes even as much as adhesion problems on the substrate. So you want to get in when it's just a little bit cooler, not too cold and not too hot, and definitely not too humid. If you're living East Coast, West Coast, where there's a lot of humidity, well, you're just going to have to deal with it. If you didn't spray when it was humid, you wouldn't spray at all. General contractor had to go in and do some blocking up at the plates. He had to remove plywood that was originally at that top plate, because after we're done the spray foam and done shaving and done cleaning up, he's going to be going around and doing actually the caulking with the polyurethane, because he wants to do it as he's putting the new exterior plywood sheathing up. So he's going to caulk all the seams, caulk all the joints, and then he's going to put his sheathing up. This is just an example here of electrical on the outside that was free floating, so he just sprayed it in, made sure the foam went all the way up to the top of the plate and closed in the hole where it goes through the top plate so it doesn't get air leakage, and then he can go back and hit the full value and not have to worry about the 2 inches of foam grabbing that wire and pulling that wire closer to the outside. A lot of oddball stud bays. There's a hodgepodge of framing in these old homes with what they were doing, and as a result, you're going to get a lot more foam in other areas, and you just need to go around and be planning for an oddball stud cavity to be slightly overfilled, and that's normal. If the cavity is only 2.5 inches wide and you shoot your gun in there, you're going to have an instant 3 inches just with the velocity and how much foam comes in, and that's really not a problem. It's not a problem. It's when you got large, wide open areas that you've sprayed it way too thick, too quick, that you need to watch for. I always try to break up my pricing on jobs like this on how many days am I going to need on site. Like, they did the prep for us. Other than we had the tape, we put packaging tape you can see on the stud face. They did the hoarding. They moved all of the items around the house to get it ready. We just had to come in and spray, as you're seeing here, and then when we're done, we're pulling the tape off and we're doing the shaving. So this is what sort of a pre-spray looks like. They've pulled all the nails out, pulled all the sheeting, moved all the windows to where their proper locations are going to be, run all their wiring to the outside for new soffit lighting. That blocking that you're seeing at the top for the soffits, it's got gable and ridge venting in it, and those areas were never open to ventilation to begin with. They were blocked off with plywood. He's just upgraded it to new plywood, and it acts as a stop for where the new sheathing is going to go. Whether it's right or wrong, that's to be dealt with in the roofing phase of the renovation. The spray foam is only going to go to the plates. It's not going to go any lower. You might say, well, what's the point? You should be going lower down to the ground at the foundation. They don't want to mess with the architectural detail of the house and have to fur all that out to give depth to the foam and then have a ledge. So this job was only priced out to go from the foundation up. You can see where some of the new wood here has been added for the windows, and just the condition that a lot of this old lumber from the 1950s was in. A lot of rusty nails on this one, a lot of difficult pulling. They spent quite a bit of time on prep work. When asked how much foam we should be putting, I'm saying like at least 2 inches, and we'll go a little bit more. It was priced for a little bit more, but there's not a whole lot of need to get the wall full and then shave it flush. If you shave it flush, that's just a ton of work, ton of shaving. Static charge on the foam is going to take those chips all over the place and make a huge mess. So we want to stay below the stud face, which is what we're doing in all these situations. The Demilec product sprays out great. It's a nice, even, consistent foam, well manufactured, good sprayability, well priced, and it's pleasant to look at. I like the sea foamy green color that it comes in. We're still spraying wall type, still doing a lot of wall type. We're just having to mix it up a little bit with some of the allocations and the supply chain issues that have been going on for 2021 that everybody has had to deal with. This is what sort of a finished wall looks like. All the foam has been, the facing has been pulled off, trimming has begun, and they're just starting to do cleanup. And then the next day they're going to be doing the caulking with polyurethane sealant into all of the cracks, all of the joints, and then putting their exterior sheathing back up. And then they're going to do a house wrap, and then they're going to do new James Hardie board siding over the house. It was funny, the neighbors were trying to figure out what exactly was going on with this house. The general contractor was telling me that there was all these rumors going around that they had termites or that they had infestation of bugs or something because they had all this hoarding around, or do they have doing some sort of weird addition, and they couldn't figure it out. So the spray foam truck shows up, and then one day we foamed the exterior. So I'll get back to you guys with some data over the next year or so. It's going to take a little bit to see exactly what the utility consumption is going to be, but they didn't have much insulation there to begin with. Didn't want to make the walls thicker. This was a situation of remove the exterior sheathing, put the spray foam in, put the new plywood back, and then do the proper exterior siding that they want done. So good retrofit. Definitely in Canada, it's sort of a midsummer job, late spring to all throughout midsummers. And they were eagerly waiting to get this done because they were tired of the house being cold and being hot. So everybody wanted to see a project up front on how this is done, and here's one that I've sort of walked you through it. and you can get this done in your area, in your state, in your county. So click on the like and the subscribe, and we'll catch you on another video.